It's NBC 26 at 10. NFL dreams come true. Meet the newest members of the Green and Gold. Plus, hundreds in Northeast Wisconsin participate in the March for Babies Walk. And we take you to San Diego for the sights and sounds of the Marine Corps Band. Well, NBC 26 is, of course, your official Packers station, and another NFL draft in the books. And with a look at the class of 2018, we turn things over to Chris Barrier. Chris.
Hey, Mo, that's right. The draft has come to a close, and 11 college players are headed to Titletown for camp this summer. 8 of those draft picks were selected today. So let's look back now at day 3 of the NFL draft. After going defense heavy on days 1 and 2, Brian Gutekunst started to break into the offense. 3 wide receivers and an offensive lineman. Also some competition on special teams in the later rounds with a punter and a long snapper. But one of the biggest concerns coming into this draft was adding some youth and speed at the edge rush. The only edge rusher the Packers took, Kendall Donnerson out of Southeast Missouri. Well, they took him in the final pick of the 7th round. Not necessarily because the Packers forgot that they needed it. They just didn't really like what was available.
We would have loved to have some guys fall to us in a different manner. I don't think it was a particularly great edge rusher draft. Just didn't happen that way, and we just didn't think it was. We didn't think it was the best thing just to go ahead and reach for a position, even if we didn't think that player was of that value.
So where does Green Bay hope to see improvement from the edge rush? Well, Coach McCarthy said from returning 2nd and 3rd year players. That means guys like Wisconsin's own Vince Beagle, who battled a lot of injuries last year. The Green and Gold expect a lot more from him in his sophomore season. We got plenty more on the draft coming up during sports. We'll take you to Lambeau Field, where Kelly Price helps us sift through some of these new faces, plus Bucs Game 7. But for now, Mo, it's back to you.
All right, Chris, thank you. Well, it was a sunny day outside today, but still a little chilly. Let's check in with meteorologist Gino Recchio to look at your first forecast. Gino.
That's right, Mo. At least we're getting to the right direction. Yesterday it was a little gloomy. We had some light rain showers. Today it was sunny, still on a cool note. High temperatures were in the upper 40s and lower 50s. Our average high temperature for this time of year is 60 degrees in Green Bay. Take a look at the record high, 85 degrees set back in 1974. We don't have any 80s in the forecast, but we are expecting some 70s to be returning so quickly in the next few days. Clear skies overhead. I'll have that full forecast in just a bit.
All right, Gino, thank you. And covering Wisconsin now, Oneida County officials have identified the 3 victims killed in a medical helicopter crash in northern Wisconsin. They're 43-year-old Gregory Rosenthal, 34-year-old Rico Caruso of Hazelhurst, Wisconsin, and 30-year-old Clint Mitchell of Watersmeet, Michigan. They say they found the helicopter around 2 in the morning yesterday in the town of Hazelhurst. The NTSB and the FAA are currently investigating the crash. One neighbor described the scene near her home. And officials say 13 people are injured from the oil refinery explosion that happened in Superior. The manager at the Husky Energy refinery says 6 injured workers were taken to hospitals and the rest were treated on site. And the American Lung Association says 8 Wisconsin counties have poor air quality. They say Dorr, Kenosha, Manitowoc, Milwaukee, Ozaukee, Rock, Sheboygan, and Walworth all get a failing grade, while Ashland, Fort Stan, and Taylor counties have perfect scores. Now, this report does from data collected by the EPA. It is meant to give people a better understanding of what they're breathing. Hundreds of people in northeast Wisconsin going the extra mile today to help their fellow community members. It's all for the March for Babies Walk that was held at Schwalbe Park in Green Bay this morning. The goal of the walk is to shed light on issues related to premature births and the defects that follow after. Money raised from the march goes to the March of Dimes organization.
Go to the March of Dimes website. It's the most up-to-date when it comes to finding out about premature babies, and the research and development that's out there today moves so quickly, and they offer so much for a NICU family.
If you do want to make a donation to the March for Babies, just head to our website at NBC26.com and look for this story. Barnes & Noble Green Bay honoring the local winner of the 2018 My Favorite Teacher contest. That award goes to Lindsay Hudson of Kewanee Middle School. Students nominate their teachers by writing essays, poems, or thank you letters on how they've influenced their lives.
Being a teacher, your goal is to connect with students. You know, there's that saying that says a student may not always remember what you taught them, but they will always remember how you made them feel. So my goal has always been to make sure that every student knows that they are cared for by me.
And the student who nominated her described Hudson as inspirational, caring, and change every class she taught. Well, don't go anywhere. We still have some more news and weather coming up after the break.
And now, your NBC 26 Storm Shield forecast with meteorologist Gino Recchia.
It's a little cool this evening. Temperature of 36 degrees kind of makes sense. We're almost close towards midnight. Wind out of the south at 3 miles per hour. And we got a wind chill factor, not much, still 36 degrees out there. 26 up towards Mountain, 30 in Sheboygan, 37 in Kewaunee, 36 in the Fox cities, both in Oshkosh and also in Appleton. Winds light and variable. Right now, we will be seeing those change out of the south and southwest as early as tomorrow morning as some warmer air will start to move in here. Thankfully, it has been sunny. Also, after that, some of those showers that came through yesterday. Also, we're talking about some river flooding still continuing from that melting snowpack. The Wolf River right now close to its record stage. Right now forecasted to crest at 14.1 feet. The current water situation is at second place, the all-time crest levels going back into history for the Shiocton observation of the Wolf River. And this is actually one photo that came in from the viewer showing one of those docks or observation kind of platforms showing it completely submerged because of the Wolf River increasing in its amount of water in that river. Clear skies overhead, no precipitations expected over the next 24 to 36 hours as we got that high pressure that's continuing to dominate the air mass over the upper Midwest. Now this high pressure will move off to the east and provide us with a southwest flow, and that'll warm us up over the next coming days. Here comes a mild air advancing eastward, and we'll be tapping into 60s tomorrow, 70s both Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, and then some cool air will start to work its way in, dropping temperatures back down into the 50s perhaps as we get towards the later half of next week's work week. 27 degrees, cool, quiet, grab a jacket, you'll need it tonight. Light and variable winds. For tomorrow, rising up into a high of 60 degrees, mostly sunny skies. Very similar like today, just about 5 to 10 degrees warmer than what we saw for our highs. 70 on Monday, 74 on Tuesday. Wednesday, chance of some showers and thunderstorms during the afternoon and evening hours. Then we do cool back down to a high of 58 on Thursday with continued showers. And then on Friday and Saturday, not looking too bad. Highs back into the mid and upper 60s with more sunshine, Mo. So a better week ahead. Also, it's the first week of May. Oh, yeah. We're going to the right direction with some 60s and 70s.
You said, take the jacket out, but do you mean put it back in for Monday?
Yes. Oh, you don't need the jacket Monday. You need the shorts.
All right. Thank you so much. You know what? We have more news coming up next. Stay with us. Welcome back. Throughout the week, we've brought you stories from Marines from all across northeast Wisconsin. We took you to boot camp and we showed you graduation, but now photojournalist Jeremy Bone introduces you to sights and sounds of the Marine Corps Band.
I got a call from a recruiter one day and he was like, "Hey, have you ever thought about joining the Marine Corps?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Do you want to come in?" I was like, "Sure, I got nothing better to do."
I wanted to join the Marine Corps because I knew that it was definitely going to give me a challenge and challenge me more than the other branches. And once I found out about the MEOP program, I was already a musician in high school looking towards going to school for music. So I knew that this was going to be a good choice, and I've loved it ever since. I'm a flute and piccolo instrumentalist with the 1st Marine Division Band, and I've only been playing for about 3.5 years coming out of high school.
Attention! For me, I'm a trumpet player, so I have to go in and play bugle calls. I have to play taps at funerals. And not only that's the hardest part of my job, but that's honestly the favorite, because without people like me, there wouldn't be that at a funeral. They wouldn't get the honors they deserve.
I don't think I have ever been given more tools for my toolbox, and something I definitely saw myself is becoming more of a leader, not just to the Marines that are around me to my left and to my right, but to the students that I end up teaching as well.
Just working on my craft as much as I had to make it through, and pushing myself for that was probably the most difficult part for me.
Just the people that you meet, the veterans that you know that you're playing for.
And also coming up in sports, a look back at the Packers draft, plus the Bucs fight for their playoff lives in Game 7 in Boston.
And now, NBC 26 Sports with Chris Barrier.
Good evening or almost good morning to everybody out there. The picks are in and 11 new faces are headed to Titletown after the conclusion of the 2018 NFL Draft. So let's meet that draft class in its entirety. Starting with rounds 1 through 3, one of the biggest offseason needs addressed immediately. Back-to-back cornerbacks picked, and Jair Alexander, fast kid out of Louisville, then Josh Jackson, the nation's leading interception man from Iowa. That brings us to today. The offense getting some fresh blood. 3 wide receivers in the middle rounds, all over 6 feet. The team also brought in some competition on special teams with a punter from Alabama and a long snapper out of Mississippi State. For more on Brian Gutekunst's first draft as a GM, here's Kelly Price.
Trust the process is one of the biggest cliches in sports, and over the last 3 days here at Lambeau for the NFL Draft, the Packers front office has been trusting their draft board. And in his first draft calling the shots as GM, Brian Gutekunst has let the draft board come to him, matching best available with roster need.
We were trying to build on our team, create competition at every spot that we could. We felt really good about our board and knowing it and knowing where the value was. We had some unexpected players fall our way that we just were like, it maybe didn't make sense from the numbers perspective, but they were good football players that we wanted to acquire.
He's confident, knew the board, and knew exactly what he wanted. And the majority of the conversation is more on the value and the conversations the other guys are having with the other teams. So very composed. I mean, it's a long 3 days.
Over those 3 days, the Packers expanded their roster by drafting 11 players, 5 on defense, 4 on offense, and 2 specialists. And if you ask Gutekunst, this draft is just the beginning of a roster revamp.
I think there's going to be opportunities over the next, going into training camp, the 53 cut, all those things, trades, different things. There'll be opportunities if we feel we need to add more competition to any position group. I think this weekend was a really good step in a lot of ways. It'd be nice to come out of every draft and feel like you filled all the holes that you think you have, but that's never the case. So I think you try to take the really good football players because you really don't know what your needs are going to be come September.
The new Packers acquired over the last 3 days or as undrafted free agents will head to Titletown next week as rookie camp is just days away. Keeping you connected at Lambeau Field, I'm Kelly Price for NBC 26.
I forgot that's coming up. Thanks, Kelly. Took a little while before we saw any Badgers come off the board, but finally today in the 4th round, the Oakland Raiders broke the ice by selecting Wisconsin cornerback Nick Nelson, transfer from Hawaii, who set the school record last year with 21 pass breakups, the most in the nation. 5 Badgers in all were selected in this year's draft. Tight end Troy Fumagalli off to Denver, a fan favorite, and Jack Sitchie getting the call to the Buccaneers in the 6th round. The linebacker missed all of last year due to a torn ACL. He could only participate in a limited role in the combine, but Tampa still calling his number, which is just awesome. Let's switch to basketball now. Game 7 tonight in Boston. Before tonight's game, Bucks forward Chris Middleton said, quote, "I think it was Kobe Bryant who said the best thing to hear on the road is silence." Well, so far, Milwaukee has not won a game on the road, and they haven't even won a Game 7 on the road ever. But tonight, another chance to silence the crowd and the critics. They've never had this guy in a Game 7, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He needs to be a difference maker for a win tonight. Speaking of makers, this one goes by Thon, and he makers himself a triple early on. Bucks lead 13-10. Celtics would close the first quarter on a 20-2 run, capped by a buzzer beater from Aaron Baines. Skipped to the third. Chris Middleton drives, lobs to Giannis for the 2-hand finish. But the Bucks trail by 6. Still in the third in transition. Jason Tatum gets Giannis to go, whoops, absolutely flying out of his boots. That is an icy hot move. Boston leads by 16 to the 4th. Time for more fakeouts. Terry Rozier, whoops, Eric Bledsoe bites. I think he knows who he is by now. Unfortunately for the Bucks, that noise does not sound like silence in Boston. The Bucks season comes to a close in Game 7. Boston wins 112-96. And just like every game, the home team bench much better than the roads. 12 points for Milwaukee's compared to 33 for Boston's. You know who did have a great game and a great series is Chris Middleton. 32 points tonight, at least 20 points in all 7 games. Still wasn't enough.
On the road, when you're playing catch the whole time, it's eventually going to catch up to you and wear you down, and that's exactly what happened. for the series, man. I mean, I'm glad people saw what I could do, bring to the table. I feel like I've been doing that all season long. But to me, it just wasn't enough for the series. I mean, we still lost. So, I mean, I can't say I've had that great of a series if I didn't carry or help the team to win this series.
I'll leave you with this. It was Uper Day at Fox City Stadium for the Timber Rattlers against the Peoria Chiefs. Iron River native and Olympic snowboarder Nick Baumgartner got to take BP with the team and throw out the first pitch. Baumgartner finished 4th place in the men's snowcross in Pyeongchang this winter, and even though he didn't medal, having family on hand was pretty much the greatest award he could have ever imagined.
But as a competitor, when you get 4th place, you're going for the podium. You want the podium. But when I crossed the finish line at the bottom with that 4th place, you're kind of bummed out. I looked up, I see my son jumping up and down like I had just won. So for me, it was just having him there and being able to use my actions to show him that anything is possible.
Loving that stash right now. He looks like a ball player. The T-Rats lost today 6-2. They'll finish the homestand tomorrow at 1. Their parent club, the Brewers, also lost this afternoon 3-0 to the Cubbies. Chicago goes for the series sweep tomorrow afternoon. That does it for sports. We will be right back.
So yesterday it was a little gloomy. This was a photo that came in from Green Bay from our viewer Kevin, and it was a completely different story today. And it's going to be even better tomorrow. Temperatures in the 60s for most of us, but if you're along Lake Michigan, a lake breeze will keep you in the upper 40s and lower 50s. So head on inland. Say hello to Green Bay, maybe Appleton.
Is that the nicest day we've had this year?
No,
sounds like it.
We've had a little better.
All right, we'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a great night.